Hey guys, welcome back. Tisha here, back for another Sister Wives Season 14 review. I have come to the conclusion that these are just four women who happen to have all slept with the same man. They call themselves sister wives, but there is nothing that is remotely sisterly about this dynamic. They aren't friends. They do not seem to like each other on most days. They live separate lives. They can barely tolerate each other. The only thing that keeps them in each other's lives is the children. And maybe possibly the fact that they're married to a man by the name of Cody. Go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button as we begin. So after 6 weeks of being in Vegas and on her own, Mary is moving back to Flagstaff with the help of some of the family. And by some of the family, it looks like in the beginning it's mainly Christine and her and Gwen and Cody and some of Mary's sisters. They talk about how Mary was asked to leave from her first rental again, and how the situation with the landlord made her feel uncomfortable, and how the situation with the landlord is a prime example as to why they have kept them being polygamous a secret for so many years. But I'm listening and I'm like, okay, the landlord knew. And the problem was more so the neighbors than it was the landlord. You said it yourself last episode that you feel like they were bullying you and they were bullying the landlord. You guys, a lot of this episode was repetitive. It was them spending, if let's say the episode was 45 minutes, 20 of it was stuff that we already saw. And I'm tired of seeing the same response in confessional for these different clips. Like, switch it up a little bit. It's getting old. I don't know. Maybe it's because we went back and we started over. But I'm just looking at this and I just can't believe how much at one point I really thought that the stuff that this family was telling us was true, just to find out it wasn't. It ticks me off that I kind of fell for it, okay? So Cody is still complaining about how much they are financially strapped. Meanwhile, Truly is just trying to check out the backyard. She doesn't want to hear any of this. She wants to see what it looks like. So we're reminded by Christine of how much Truly has missed Vegas and how much she really doesn't like Flagstaff. Part of that may be because in Flagstaff, she's not able to see her siblings as much. They're not coming over. They're not spending time. Now, I know that we're told that Truly likes to be on her own, but we also know that at one point, Truly and Saul were very close. So that had to be a shift for her. So as Truly gets back there, she notices that the wall is up. Gwen sees it too, so does Christine. Gwen says she actually thinks that it looks nice. And it does. It looks, I mean, for a brick wall, I personally wouldn't have wanted a brick wall, but that's what they chose. Christine says Truly is looking and she sees the wall between our home and Janelle's home, and it's not a good thing for her. I don't understand why Christine brought Truly back to Vegas, especially if she knew that Truly was already struggling. I feel like Truly should have stayed in Flagstaff with someone rather than coming to Vegas, because I don't think that that made the situation any easier. I feel like it probably made it worse. And I personally wouldn't have brought Truly to that trip. We see that they still have not covered the cement that has their handprints and their names in it. So they look at that and we get a flashback, of, the day that it happened. And Christine lets us know it was around the time that the 3 kids were adopted into the family. And I just don't see why they did all of this stuff if they knew that they were going to be leaving? None of it makes sense. Pouring concrete isn't cheap. Covering it up isn't cheap. Why waste time if you really, really thought you weren't going to be staying there? So they still haven't had this covered up. So that's another thing that they're going to have to do. Christine says, I want to do another one of these on the property, but I don't know what it's going to look like. But it's not anything that Christine has to worry about because you're not going to have a property with them. Y'all aren't going to end up together as a family on that property. So it's time to leave. And Mary is hugging her family and she's crying. She says, I understand that, technically as a family we left, but it feels different now. It's just hitting me. It feels real. I love Vegas. I'm sorry, but I do, and it's hard to walk away. Mary made it very clear from very early on that she did not want to leave Vegas. Mary liked Vegas. Mary went with the flow because for various reasons, Mary thought that she was going to be able to get another opportunity to be with her husband, but it was all an act. We'll get into it. So Christine and Mary are standing outside and they're talking about how they have to recreate this. I noticed Mary's mother said something to Cody about if he's going to sell the property on Coyote Pass, which I felt was odd, but I didn't rewind it back because I think that they all knew, and by they all, Mary's family knew that they weren't going to be building on that property anytime soon because Mary said it. Mary said it from the very beginning. So Cody lets us know that at this point, he's warm to the way things are. That as he drives from house to house out in Arizona, that it kind of lets him wash off the energy of the last wife. How about you wash off your... You know what? Never mind. Let me not go there. Let me be quiet. Y'all know where I was going to go. I was going to go straight down, 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 down. But I'm just saying, what do you mean it lets you wash off the energy? Like, how about you just fix your mind to realize you're in a different setting because you're not washing off anything. He says it's all, my emotional baggage. It will follow me, the emotional baggage from one wife's house to the next wife's house in the cul-de-sac. And I just get a chance to wash it off now because I get to drive and that drive gives me time to wash it off. So what? The last house that you were at was so torturous for you that you need an energy shift? It sounds like insanity to me. He understands that he sounds crazy saying this, and he says that he just has to, wash off the energy as he goes from house to house. And he knows that it sounds crazy saying that when he's saying, okay, I got to wash off the energy going from house to house, but yet I want us to all be in one house. And it's just, the thing about polygamy, that sometimes it's a contradiction. And he understands that, he sounds crazy and he knows he's going to have to find a way to balance himself. They end up hugging and they all leave. As they're pulling off, you hear Mary saying that, she's nervous and she's getting emotional about going to Flagstaff. She says when they were all in the cul-de-sac in Vegas, seeing Cody and his other dynamics and his other relationships with his other wives was hard for her because even though she knew that his relationships with all his wives wasn't perfect, that she found herself wanting what some of those wives had. And as she said it, I felt bad for her because Cody for years has treated Mary like she's a nuisance. And I really wish he would pinpoint what year, or she would pinpoint what year they really started having problems, because we hear that it was for many years. And I wonder if part of their major problem wasn't necessarily Janelle and Christine, but it was after she had lost that baby. Did that shift the dynamics for them when she had that miscarriage? Because Cody doesn't seem like he's an emotionally available person. He often gets annoyed when the other wives are emotional, everybody except for the bird. So, what does that mean in their situation? So, Mary says, with them being gone, it was a lot easier for her because she was alone and she didn't have to see that dynamic. And here she's, going to be forced to see it again. But she's really not, because they're not going to interact. Anyway, Mary arrives at her new rental property. It is even bigger than the last one. I do not understand what is up with Mary and the bird that they have the need for these huge homes. The only reason why I'm not going to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs on Mary is because she says that this house is $175 dollars more than the one that she was kicked out of. And I also believe that at this time, Mary was the breadwinner for the family because her LuLaRoe was doing really well. And they say her B&B was doing really well. So she could afford the home that she was in. And then I said, well, maybe it's a situation like Christine's where she's still under budget, even though supposedly Robin has more house. They're paying the same price. So Mary lets us know that she met one of the neighbors and that neighbor was cool, that she doesn't think that she'll have problems with them. But it shouldn't be a problem because the family's not going to be over there a whole bunch. So it's not something that matters. Cody makes multiple attempts to get this Penske moving truck up the curve. I do not understand why they put tapes on these things. Like, we don't understand what blue and yellow truck is and what the orange, white, and black U-Haul truck is like. Or we know the budget truck, we know the Penske truck. Like, we can look and tell this is a Penske truck. So he's struggling to get it up this driveway that is steep and it's curved. It curves to what looks like a 2 or 3 car garage going up a hill. And he almost hits it against the wall. He makes multiple attempts to do this, and he's trying to, make sure that he doesn't hit anything. He wants Mary to make sure that she's watching his back. And she tells him, I would love to watch your backside, babe. And I'm listening, and it makes me cringe watching Mary try to flirt with Cody as he ignores her and proceeds to tell us that they're starting over and they're working through things and all those other stuff. It makes me uncomfortable. Excuse me. It makes me uncomfortable because I don't see it. I don't see it happening. And it's very evident that he was just saying that as a way to keep her bound to them, to keep that money in that household, because they aren't living together. He tells us that they aren't, but they do go out once in a while. He doesn't know if they're progressive, is what he said. Not progressing, but progressive. But he's approaching this the way that Nancy suggested, which is with curiosity and friendship. Keep in mind, he just said he doesn't know if they're progressive. Then Mary says, I hope that makes progress. That means progress is being made. Just because that he said that he's going to approach us like Nancy said, with curiosity and friendship, but before he said that, he tells you that it's not progressive. You're not progressing. What don't you understand about that? Mary then says, there are times that I feel hopeless because it's not going at the speed that I want it to, and it's not where I think it needs to be. It's because Cody was already done with her. Cody didn't want her. Cody was done. Cody has told us in recent years that he stopped being intimate with his wives when they act up. He said it about Christine, and that's what he's done with Mary. And even Christine had told us at one point that they only had intimacy maybe 5 times in a year. So he was withholding things at times, and it's what he did to Mary. He didn't want her. He was done. He didn't need her because he had three other options that he could choose from. And as long as he had those three other options, or two or one, however many he was utilizing at the time, he didn't care about her. He says it's not going to go at, the speed that she wants it to, because I'm being very deliberate about my moves here. He's deliberately dragging her along. He's deliberately playing games. He's deliberately getting her money and deliberately making sure that she's going to be around to help with future down payments. Because that's what it all boils down to. It doesn't make any sense. Cody has really strung Mary along. And I know we go back and forth in the comment section about this, because a lot of us, myself included at times, have felt that he has told Mary in so many ways that he doesn't want to be with her. But then I see moments like these where he's obviously stringing her along to benefit himself, and I wonder if Mary truly, really was oblivious to it. So Mary says, as they're all outside, look, you guys, don't open the doors unless I tell you to, because I have a secret to show you. So Brianna says, is someone coming out of the closet? And they all laugh about it and joke because she's making a reference to something. But I just took it as the bird likes to tell us that other people have this influence on her kids when her kids are making their own decisions. And I've said it before, out of all Robin's children, they're going to have to watch, in my opinion, Brianna, because she's the one that comes off as extremely snooty to me. She's the one who was laughing at Savannah when they were in the RV at the fact that Savannah had what she thought was a living area for the dogs. She just is the one that sometimes kind of comes off as a little harsh to me, and I don't like it. So I have an eye on that one. As they walk into the house, if you haven't watched this episode, if you plan on watching it, go back, and I should have put the timestamp on it. I should have paid attention to it when it was on HBO. But when they walk into the house, if you look at Savannah and if you look at Gwen's expression, it completely was everything that I needed it to be as they walked into this house, because they're looking around like, what in the world? Because Mary has this massive house. Meanwhile, both of those girls are living in houses that are significantly smaller than the houses that they were in when they lived in Vegas. Add on top of that Mary is by herself. Meanwhile, they still have siblings in their home. So there's an elevator and there's a waterfall, and Mary has two masters, and it has 4 bedrooms, and it's too much, in my opinion, for one person. I don't understand why her house is so big. I don't know if it's because of the business or what, but the house is big. So they've been in Flagstaff. Oh, wait. She takes them in the elevator. She gets a little disappointed because she wanted to surprise them with the whole elevator thing. But Saul noticed the buttons on the wall and was like, is that an elevator? So they go up in the elevator and they slightly move Mary in. They basically just put all the boxes and stuff in the house. They don't really do anything major, it seems. So that's the end of that. Cody makes a statement about how, he feels away because they over here this whole time going through all this other stuff when this, house has 2 masters, and we hear about how, they lived previously. All right. So they've been in Flagstaff for 2.5 months. The moms decide to go out to eat. This lunch proved to me that they are not operating like a family. The bird says she feels like she's not part of a plural family right now because of the rentals and because of how spaced out they all are, and it's very, very weird. We keep hearing about how spaced out they all are and the rentals and all these other things, but they could have found ways to make time for each other. And as she's talking, I'm like, okay, y'all couldn't find time for each other when y'all were a mile away. So of course you can't find time for each other when you're further away. And Mary later talks about that. So Janelle is the one that has asked for them to come to eat lunch. And the ladies laugh about it because they say that Janelle is normally the one that doesn't want to have anything to do with lunch. Like she wants no part of it. But she says, one of the reasons why she called the lunch is because she's found herself struggling, especially very early on, being so apart from everyone. She says that she's felt isolated, and there's times where she wanted to go see people, but she was too lazy, so she just would lay on the couch and not be bothered. Christine says she feels isolated too. She says she felt like everybody was fine without her and that they didn't need her, and rather than picking up the phone or going to their house, that Christine found herself just going into this funk. Excuse me. And I'm listening to her and I'm like, this makes no sense. How are we feeling all of this just from moving? And if you're feeling this way, why move? Mary talks about in her confessional how she's continuing to be guarded with her relationship. And then she lets them know that she is still sleeping on a mattress on the floor because she can't put her bed together. Because at this point, Cody hasn't come over to help her. She's over here telling us how she doesn't have any kids to help her and she would love to have, some of the family and the kids come over and help her, put together her king-size bed. And I don't understand why Cody couldn't do it. He did not waste any time to show her that he wasn't interested and that he didn't care. The bird's response to her saying that, she needed some help and Cody hasn't come over or whatever is, why don't you get the guy that Janelle used to help her move her? So Janelle tells us that she had some more things to move and she needed some help and she just couldn't be bothered with it. So she hired someone. Why is it that it seems like the only people who are complaining here are the other three ladies and the bird is good? Just think about that for me, because she's the only one that didn't seem to have a whole bunch of complaints, right? Mary says, okay, you're suggesting that, but I don't want a stranger to do it. I want the family to do it. It seems to me like this is the only way that Mary felt like she could have interactions with the family and with the kids, because Mary always feels like she's being a bother. And I know in previous seasons I've said, like, they're saying that they want you to come over, she just come over. But I really don't feel like they wanted her to come over. I felt like they said it because it sounds good. Robin flat out tells her, no, I'm not going to help you unpack. I hope you do something else, but I'm not going to help with that. Yet everybody was expected to help Robin, and Mary was one of the main people helping with Robin's stuff, getting her stuff into the van. But yet here she is and she's not willing to help Mary. Mary was one of the main people helping her with the sister wives closet, and yet again here she is not willing to help Mary. It seems like an ongoing thing where as long as the bird is taken care of, then nobody else matters. So Robin is like, Mary has all those stairs and her house sits on the edge of a mountain, and when I go up those stairs, I'm out of breath. So then she tells us, and that she feels like she's going to faint. So she tells Mary, you know what, Mary, you have a lot of stairs and we don't want to mess up your things. So I think you'd be best if you just get someone to help you. But Mary is adamant that she wants the family to help her. Does that seem a little selfish? Yeah, it does. I got to be honest, it does. Because if you have the funds, Mary, as a person who is doing well in your business, and you know that you want to sleep on your bed, go ahead and call the people to help you with the bed. It's a big deal to Mary, but it doesn't have to be this big of a deal. I get that she's bothered, but if you're uncomfortable and you're sleeping on the floor, you got to find a happy medium here. At this point, everybody is in it for themselves. Robin says, this isn't a big deal. You hire people to help you with the big stuff, and then we'll come over and we'll have a little unpack party or something like that. I personally feel like that was a happy medium. Even though I don't like the bird, I do agree with her and Janelle in saying to do that. I just feel like they're missing the bigger picture, which is that Mary feels alone. And unlike Robin, Mary doesn't have anyone in her house. Might as well say unlike all of them, because all of them have at least 2 children in their homes, whereas she doesn't have anybody. It's just her. She doesn't even have, I didn't remember seeing the dog there. Either way, she doesn't have anybody. And yet, she's supposed to be a part of the family, and they needed Mary for this move. And it was so imperative that they come as a family and blah, 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 blah. Yet, they aren't there. The other wives are sitting here acting like they're supportive, but they aren't. They aren't close. They only act like family when it's convenient. The adults are so awkward during this lunch as they sit here at the table, and watching them makes me uncomfortable, and I'm not even in the same room. At this point, y'all have been together for several years. Why is it that you all as a family, as women, are so weird around each other? I can go months without seeing friends. Oh, good example. I saw my sister literally yesterday. I saw my sister yesterday, and I'm going to be seeing her when I go out to be with the family this upcoming week, right? I haven't seen my sister for almost a year. When me and my sister saw each other, immediately the both of us are reaching for each other and hugging each other. And I'm not a very affectionate person, but I haven't seen my sister in person for almost a year. So naturally, we're excited to see each other. Guess what? We go out to eat. We have a good time. We laugh. It's like we pick up right where we left off. Why? Because we love one another. We have a certain level of respect for each other. We support each other. That's my baby sister. Meanwhile, you got these people who've been in each other's lives for all this time, and they seem so uncomfortable in each other's spaces. It's weird. I'm watching them and I'm listening to them talk, and it's clear that Mary doesn't have anyone to talk to. She says, I don't have Dayton or Cody to help me. And Robin says, you do if you just ask. No, she doesn't. Because then after you say you do if you just ask, you then say in confessional that Cody is extremely busy. He's doing a lot and it's nothing personal. Why is Cody really busy? Cody don't have a real job. So what is he busy doing? He's not working hard. He's not helping the other wives unload their houses. So what is he busy doing, Robin? And then you add it's nothing personal, but it is personal because I'm sure Cody helps her. She says, Cody is not there for any of his wives whenever they need him. He's not there for any of us. And that's what it means to be a plural wife. She's full of crap because he's always there for her. He kept making sure he was there for her when they were moving households. She was the one who had the most stuff. She was the one who needed the most assistance. She was the one who was having a meltdown. It was, let me go help Robin do this and let me go help Robin do that. And I need to send some people over here to Robin. You gonna make sure that the bird is good. You even have told us over the years how Cody is so helpful with your kids, how Cody helps them get ready for school, and how Cody likes taking the little ones to school. Yet he's not there for the other ones, which means he's with you. That's what he's so busy doing. Christine says, I told Mary when we were over there that my girls will help. Gwen and Isabel will help. I told her that. And they're really, really good at lifting up furniture. They may not be Dayton and Cody, but they're good. And she looks at her and she says, Gwen and Isabel will help. We will be there. But Mary needs to call, which is true. They can't just pop up. You got to tell them or text her and be like, hey, do you guys think you can come up for a little bit today? Because they told her after school they'll come over and they'll help. Mary says that their love and care for her is conditional, that they only want to do things if it's fun. And as I hear her saying this, I get what she's saying, but I need Mary to stop with the woe is me. You all tell me down below. Do you think that Mary is justified in her feelings? Yes or no? So Janelle says, I don't see Cody a lot. I see him a couple times a week. A couple times a week is more than what Mary sees. Mary's been there for 2 weeks. I wish they would have asked Mary, when's the last time you saw him? She probably would have said 2 weeks ago. It's clear that he hasn't been over there to see her. Mary says, how did you guys not think that it was going to be hard and that this was going to be a struggle when we already knew that it was a struggle when we were in Vegas and we were miles apart? We were only a mile apart. How did you not know that this would be hard? It's because they gave in. They knew it would be hard. Christine says that she, didn't realize it would be this hard, but the thought of Coyote Pass and what they'll have there and the homes that they can build there and all those stuff is what keeps her going. We know that this isn't going to last much longer for Christine. It's crazy. Robin says every morning, she's just praying. She's praying that these houses sell. Well, you have to actually put the houses on the market, Bird, in order to get them to sell. They don't just sell by just, being empty. Or in her case, not empty because she still has furniture in it. So Janelle lets us know that at 9 a.m. they've been praying together wherever they are, the adults as a family. And I thought Robin doesn't wake up that early. So are we sure that she's doing it at 9 a.m.? Because Ariella likes to stay up late at night, remember? We find out that Janelle and Christine have been walking together, that Christine told Janelle she's got to get up out the house. So she comes to the area and they take walks or whatever, which means that at that point, like they said, when they moved to Coyote Pass, Christine and Janelle started further working on their relationship because they were making sure that they still kind of stayed connected. Meanwhile, Mary says that she would come in town and be at the hotel up the street from Robin, and sometimes she will walk past Robin's house. And Robin is like, you never came to see me. And Mary says, well, you never invited me. Which goes back to me saying they knew that she was in town. And y'all supposedly want her to be over there so badly. And you want her to be in Arizona with you all as a family and blah, blah, blah. Yet she was in town and nobody invited Mary to come over to their house. Nobody invited Mary to do anything, grab a bite to eat, help them unpack a little bit. Nothing. Why weren't they reaching out? And Mary says it. I didn't call her. She didn't call me. Why didn't we call each other? They all knew I was in town, and it's because they're all full of crap. Every last one of them. Even your favorites, they're all full of crap. Mary says she wants to do family things, but sometimes it's hard emotionally. And Christine says she can relate to that because she's felt the same way at times. Mary lets them know that sometimes she has to do her own thing. And Janelle says, I get that Cody and Mary are struggling, but one day I'm just going to ask her why she makes certain comments like you want to do things, but you may not be able to be there. And why she wants to do things on her own because, the sister-wife relationship is different from the relationship that she has with Cody. Just because she's struggling with Cody doesn't, necessarily mean that she's struggling with them. Which one is it? Because 1 minute is separate, then the next minute y'all tell us that it has a ripple effect and it's intertwined. She says, we could still have a sister-wives relationship. And this is where I have to call Janelle on BS, even though I like Janelle. Because Mary just sat there and said that you knew she was in town and you didn't reach out. That would be like me going to Jamaica and seeing my self on a resort or something and not letting my grandma and my other family know that I'm there. That is what that's like. So y'all knew she was there and nobody reached out. Come on, make it make sense. Robin says, Mary says, I have to do this on my own, but she doesn't. Their actions show that she does. I pick and I pick and I pick at Mary because Mary doesn't open her mouth, or Mary talks about having walls up, or Mary says that, she's still being cautious or she can't emote certain things. And I listen to them and I kind of see sometimes why Mary feels the way that she feels. Do I like everything that Mary does? No. Do I feel like some things are just too much? Yes. But when Mary opens up her mouth about certain things, example, the fact that y'all don't call her and that she's staying in a hotel when she visited those couple times while y'all lived there and she lived there, I gotta agree with her on that. Robin says, I just want to say, I am your friend. It's something small that Mary is saying here, but it always hits me in my heart. Because she is not alone. I am right here and I care. Where's the tears? Where's the tears? Robin, you keep on making these noises and doing these faces because it always has to come back to you. You're right here in your care and you're crying and 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 crying, but no tears have come out of your face, nor did you reach out to the girl while she was in town at all. So it's been 6 months since Cody was sneaky and had the draftswoman draw up the house, the one house. So he got TLC to pay additional money to create, this 3D simulation video that shows the home and what it would look like inside and all those other things. It's a 3D image. It looks good. And he's got his friend, Nathan, to drive all the way to Flagstaff to see this. That part is dumb. He could have sent it to him. This is him filming. He knows that his wives are resistant to the one home. He tells us this. But this is his storyline, and he's going to stick to it because TLC paid a lot of money for this thing, even though they know it can't happen. And he's going to stick to it. He says he knows that it's a big ask, but he hopes that because of the beauty of this, that the wives will be sold, because Cody always has to try to present something and try to be sneaky about it and act like he's trying to make some type of transaction here. He's always about the gimmick, right? He knows it's a big ask. I said that. He's overwhelmed with hope because of the design, but he knows that it's going to be a challenge. And then we hear the same stuff that we always heard about the one house and how hard it was for the ladies and yada, yada, yo. And he talks about how the ladies will be able to track him and how each wife needs to feel like it's her place. So he's going to show this design to the family at Christmas because he wants his adult children to be around so that his adult kids could talk about the goodness of them being in one home, because those kids are the ones who remember what it was like the most to be in the one house. He then tells us that one of the reasons why he showed Nathan is because it allows him to be in a safe and vulnerable moment with a friend, that friend would look at this, feel like it's cool, and that his friend will want it for him rather than try to be combative or second guess it or say no or basically do any of the things that his wives may possibly do. Okay. He says he's vulnerable right now, that he just wants his wives to see This is nothing like they've seen or experienced before, and he just wants to make sure that they aren't judging it. And that's the end of this episode. Y'all, I'm surprised that the video's as long as it was. I thought I was going to be up here for like 20 minutes, but I guess I had a lot to say. We're watching the family fall apart before our eyes, and I just really don't like how for years they've made us think that they are true, like the sister-wife dynamic is so this and is so that, and I just don't see it. And we see it now with Christine and Janelle, but look what it took for them to get there. I think that it was really Christine and Janelle against Robin and Mary, and at some point, once Robin got in the family and Robin was where she needed to be, it became Robin on her own island, Mary by herself, and Janelle and Christine. But you all, let me know your thoughts down below. Like the video. It helps the channel. I'm on the road to 1,500, and I plan on getting there sooner than later. Until next time.